It's very interesting that after the Supreme Court ruling confirming Uhuru Kenyatta as president, as the winner of those sham elections, yeah, everything went very quiet politically. Okay? Admittedly, Kumekucha also went quiet, yeah, but had very good reason, yeah. We had a very serious problem with the Club 99, which I'm glad has been sorted out now. But we remain in the trenches fighting, yeah? That is a story for another day. Anyway, so why did things just go so quiet so suddenly? What's really, what really went down? Now, one thing you need to know is that when things go quiet, yeah, outside here, nothing's happening. Behind the scenes, you can be sure there's plenty are happening. That you can be sure of, yeah? And this time was no exception at all. Yeah. Now, over the next few days, I will try and unravel. I'll try and reveal a lot of this, what was happening. Yeah. But let's start with that curious meeting. Yeah. I believe before even the Supreme Court ruling, very curious meeting that had tongues wagging, that people were puzzled. When Uhuru Kenyatta met retired President Daniel Arap Moi, what was that all about? Yeah. There were a lot of rumors flying left, right, and center. But let's get to the bottom of it. Okay. Now, one thing I can tell you straight up is that Kenyans believed that there was something cooking. They couldn't put their fingers on it, yeah, but they knew there was something, okay? Now, of course, they were right, there was something. Now, one of the first things we need to take note of is the fact that the president can very easily meet retired President Moi in secret, yeah, without any publicity, without anybody knowing about it. That's not all. They can have a fairly conclusive discussion over the telephone, okay? So why a meeting and why was it publicized, okay? Now, I believe that is where the clue is. Why should the president have a meeting with retired President Moi and make it public? For whose benefit is it? Now, I'll take your minds back to a similar meeting that was very well publicized at the beginning of this year. Thinking about it now, it looks like many lifetimes ago, but it was only January this year. A lot has happened this year. Anyway, there was a meeting between retired President Daniel Arap Moi and the president's mother, Mama Ngina Kenyatta. Remember that? Now, after that meeting, something very strange happened. It was announced that Jubilee were going to work very closely with KANU, yeah, and Gideon Moi started coming to the forefront, and something else also happened. This clash between Gideon Moi and Ruto intensified. I mean, the guys were even going after each other's throats during funerals. Yeah, remember the late Makto's funeral? They went for each other's jugulars, yeah. And this back and forth was even happening in the Kalenjin dialect. Now, very interestingly, a lot of Kalenjin folks have always said that former President Moi's son, Gideon Moi, is not very fluent in the Kalenjin mother tongue, okay? But during this fight, surprisingly, the guy was very fluent. So what really was going on here, okay? Now, those who've been taking this channel for a very long time will remember a very curious story which a lot of people still think did not pan out, where I was talking about a kind of fallout between DP Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta's people, yeah? And this fallout was quite serious, okay? That's what I reported here, and a lot of people doubted it. There were signs all over the place, and so on and so forth. Well, that meeting in January, yes, was for the benefit of DP Ruto people, okay? And I can also tell you now quite authoritatively that the most recent meeting between President Uhuru Kenyatta and the retired president was not for the benefit of the opposition, was not for the benefit of NASA, it was for the benefit of DP Ruto. I don't want to call it a threat, but it's it's quite close to being a threat, okay? In that if you think you cannot work with us, if you think we cannot survive with you, we also have another very strong Kalenjin constituent we can work with. That's really what it was all about. Now, when you tie in this information with the recent reports that DP Ruto was treated very harshly at State House, chased away or something, which appears in the social media, and the other rumors flying left, right, and center, then a very clear picture begins to develop. Clearly, there seems to be a problem between the president and his deputy, which is not surprising. This has been predicted a long time ago. Yeah, experts analyzing politics have always said, the kind of arrangement that has been within Jubilee is not the kind of arrangement that survives politically. And Kenya has a long history of this kind of relationships not surviving politically. Okay, President Uhuru Kenyatta really needed Ruto more than anybody else, especially in the current crisis, which is still ongoing. Yes. And now that President Uhuru Kenyatta is due to be sworn in a few days, what seems to be happening is that now the Jubilee, the President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee wing, do not have any more use for DP Ruto. Huyo jamaa amemaliza kazi yake. So now it becomes very, very tricky. Yes. Let me not say more than that, because I've received quite a lot of very alarming information, which I've not been able to verify yet. Yes. But for now, let me just say the relationship between the president and his deputy is what people have to watch very, very carefully. And I'm not talking about public appearances, because politicians have been known to be very good actors. Oscar Academy Award winners acting when it comes to appearing in public. But in the background, the kind of tussles that are going on, you would not believe. Now, politically, over the next few days, the main focus is going to be on NASA and what NASA are doing. But I thought it was a good idea to start with Jubilee and what is happening within Jubilee, because once we move into NASA, itakuwa ngumu kurudi kwa Jubilee, yeah? Because it may even appear that whatever is happening within Jubilee is of very little consequence. Yes, I've already given you a tip. Because what NASA have in store, it's going to be tight for Jubilee. That I can assure you. But naturally, this is not a good time for Jubilee to have problems within. But that's what it is. That's how politics is, and that's how things happen. So apart from the crisis of keeping a very close eye on what NASA are doing, Jubilee will also have their work cut out, yes, trying to keep things under control from within the party. And I can tell you the meeting between retired President Moi and President Uhuru Kenyatta is pointing towards a direction, yeah, it's very clearly telling us that whatever is happening within Jubilee is serious, quite serious. Of course, I'm going to keep a very close eye on this, as usual, for you, on your behalf. But meanwhile, if you see any news or hear any rumors, you'll already know what is happening. Yes, because I always work very hard to make sure that my YouTube channel members are always a step ahead of everybody else. Okay? Until next time, this is Kshs Kumekucha.